welcome to the College of Creation. My name is Dan.
And my name is Michael.
And we are Dungeons & Dragons DMs who love to homebrew items, spells, creatures, and features for D&D. And today we have been tasked on this show where we create new things every single week based on prompts from our listeners. We have been tasked with making 5-room dungeons based around dreams or nightmares. Now we have
incredible prompt.
It's great. We have not made dungeons on this show before. Generally, we limit ourselves to the creation of items or a monster stat block or a subclass. A dungeon is much closer to a module, and we have not done this before.
Yeah, it's a mini module, right? Because you have to think about a lot of different facets. It's not just making a map. I won't say it's easy to make a map because there are a lot of wonderful artists that take a lot of time and care making very cool and intricate maps.
Yes.
I would never discount that. But to make a dungeon, to make a 5-room dungeon and make it interesting and engaging and on brand with a theme that was inscribed into the prompt, that's a lot of different things to think about. Because when you think of a 5-room dungeon, you think of like the entry chamber, right? Room 1, puzzle room, room 2, combat room, room 3, antechamber, room 4, / boss fight, and then reward room, room 5. And that's so much stuff because that's like making monsters / loot / items that you find inside. It's all of those assets. And then you have to come up with the general conceit as well. It has to be alluring enough for a party to want to enter the dungeon in the first place. Maybe the most multifaceted prompt that we have been asked to make. So I am very excited for this.
It's very complicated, but definitely felt like home in a lot of ways because this is sort of what I do on a regular basis. So I actually felt very good about this. I think the hardest part for me, and we're going to get into that later, is just writing everything down because I don't usually do that. I usually have an idea. I know what I want, but I do not write all the details down. So figuring out how to write it all down is something that was an interesting experience. However, we decided that the best way to experience a dungeon is to play through a dungeon. And so we decided that the best way to present these would be to take this week and next week's episodes for Michael to explore my dungeon and me to explore Michael's dungeon. So
very excited.
We're going to just rip into a little live actual play moment here. Michael, are you ready to explore my dungeon of dreams?
I'm very ready.
Excellent.
I'm very ready with the character that you've provided for me.
Yes, indeed. So, let's get into it. Cue music that transitions us into the chatty portion, into the adventure portion of the game.
Here we are.
Here we are. Michael, you will be playing the character of Dob Billin, a halfling wizard.
Yep.
A 9th level halfling wizard, a member of a esteemed and successful adventuring party. You have been through trials and tribulations together, primarily dealing with the threats posed to your society, your people, your friends by the dreaded Society of Masks, a mysterious organization that has their hands in every single pie across all of the realms and attempt to sow corruption and distrust throughout the various realms that you inhabit. Most recently, you and your party have found that the Society of Masks coerced a draftsman, an inventor and engineer of incredible magical arcanotechnology, coerced him into creating something for them. Something that you fear has great power to disrupt, to destroy, and to corrupt. However, you can't just go and talk to the Draftsman, Enzo Sabia, for he has been sent into an endless slumber. He cannot be woken. Your attempts to dispel the magic that has locked him in this slumber have been unsuccessful. He is unconscious, but somehow alive in a comatose state. And after much deliberation, it was proposed that perhaps there was another way to retrieve the information, to speak with Enzo and find out what he might know and what he might have told the Society of Masks, and that is to enter into his dreaming mind. However, if this is indeed the plan, there is only one of you that knows such a spell to enter into the dreams of another being. And in order to do so, you must go alone. So, Dob, you have been tasked with casting the dream spell and entering into the mind of Enzo Sabia, the Draftsman, to find what he knows and what he told the Society of Masks.
Great. So where am I right now? Am I near him? Like, is he in my sights, or do I have to find him first?
No, you sit around with the rest of your party members, who I did not bother to describe. But
who needs them?
They're not important to this particular dungeon that I designed for a single person. However, you see, you are sitting around the bedside of Enzo Sabia. You have, gathered all of your various materials for the casting of this spell, and you sit prepared to enter into his dreaming mind and try and have a conversation with him. You have been interacting with his family and friends as well to gain as much knowledge as you can of perhaps this is coming at the end of a long period of investigation where you've been trying to find any other leads that you possibly can, and this is sort of a final resort, if you will.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I sitting with the rest of my party, with blank, faded out faces, names I can't quite remember or place at this moment. I'm too focused on my illusory spell casting. And I will begin the minute-long ritual to cast the dream spell on Enzo Sabia.
Excellent. You cast the dream spell. This is a spell that perhaps you haven't cast particularly often. It is newer magic to you, and you try and weave yourself into the mind of this sleeping man and allow yourself to step into his dream before you attempt any reshaping. But as you do, you step through and you find yourself, a spectral version of yourself, but all the same, you feel you still have the same material quality to yourself within this space. You find yourself in a tower. A tower circular with arrow slits and windows looking out all around on every side. As you glance around, there does not seem to be a hatch or a staircase that would lead down from this space at all, nor is there a staircase or any ladder or ropeway leading upward. In fact, there's just a ceiling that probably stops around 10 feet up, and the floor cold stone beneath you. And in the center of the room, kneeling over a wide piece of parchment that has been spread across the ground, and scratching into it is an older man, dark skin and a very regal robes and vestments that he is currently wearing. His dark hair kind of hangs around his face as he leans over top and sort of crouches atop this piece of parchment and just seems to be sort of scratching furiously. You quickly recognize this is Enzo Sabia, but in life he is a fairly simple draftsman, genius to be sure, but not wealthy or well-known or noble by any means. He is not rich, and so these clothing and the way his hair is dressed and all of these things seem out of place for him, but he does not seem to note your existence in this space.
Okay. I don't want to startle him. So I am going to call out to him.
And you see he turns a bit, sees you standing there, kind of stands first crouching sort of cautiously. Who are you?
I'll say Enzo Sabia?
Yes, that is I. You pardon me, I'm usually... don't usually see others.
Does he seem lucid? Can I assume that he, based off of that response, does he know that he's dreaming?
Give me an insight check.
And he's seeing me. Okay. It's not bad. 24.
Very good. You see, he seems like in his right mind. He does not seem like he understands that he is dreaming. But he does seem like he is... You know, he
has enough sense that wherever he is, he doesn't usually see other people. Okay. Yeah. I'll slowly approach, and I'll say, I promise I mean no harm. I don't know if you remember me. My name is Dob. Dob Billin. We've crossed paths a couple times. I've been looking for you for quite a while.
Oh, you've been looking for me. I must apologize. The work, when I get into the work, time does get away from me a bit.
Yes, of course. I know as well as anybody how time here can be a bit confusing and perplexing. I've just spent a good deal of time with several of your friends and acquaintances and some of your closer family members, Enzo, and my research has led me here. Finally, I have to say I don't want to alarm you. I think that you are asleep, sir.
Sleep? I feel very much awake. I've just been working for some time. I do think I recall meeting you once. Did I promise you some plans for something? I'm sure I still have them.
For anything, but you did promise somebody plans for something. I think, actually, you delivered the result of those plans quite well, and my task right now is to try and find what you made, find what it was, and help to stop the the party that you did make those plans for.
Would you make a persuasion check for me?
An 11.
You see, he kind of nods a bit, says, I do a lot of drafting, engineering. I'm not sure what you mean.
From the information I've gathered and seeing his work and hearing him talk now, I can assume that he is also an intelligent and likely a logical creature.
Yeah.
I am going to, under the pretense of the dream spell, I'm going to say again, I know your work is widely regarded as some of the most well thought out and intentionally built across our lands. That is certainly a fact. This group that tasked you to build for them, I believe that they've cursed you. I believe they've cursed you to an infinite sleep. And right now I'm speaking to you inside of a dream. And you and I both know that is a bit beyond factual study. Intellectuals like you and I rely on substance and things we can see and feel and hear with our own bodies. So I'd like to try and show you something, but I promise that you are safe, and I don't mean to alarm you with this. And I want to wave my hands and reshape the environment of his dream. I want all of the walls of the tower we're in to just melt away. So the ceiling is still there, the floor is still there, but whatever is outside of this tower in his dream, we are now bare to the elements. So I'm gonna just kind of Paper Mario style, like fold the walls back, kind of roll them back, and just expose both of us to whatever is outside.
Would you make a spellcasting ability check for me, please?
That's a 19.
Ooh, very good, very good. With a 19, there is a slight shudder in the tower's stone floor below you as you do this. And as the walls begin to move away, it feels very briefly as though the earth is quaking. And you see a flash for a moment of the walls not peeling away and melting as you described, but there is a crumbling sound that sort of echoes in your mind. It's not all the way visual, but it is the echoes of something like that. And it startles you for a moment because you think something has gone wrong, but it does succeed. And you stand looking at a sea of stars, nebula, just an astral expanse that goes on endlessly beyond the space where you now stand. And ahead of that now has been revealed a door. A double door, like a rich sort of red-brown mahogany color.
And so I need you to focus. I think that you are magically asleep, but I'm still not sure if something that I do in here could magically wake you up. So I need you to focus on staying asleep. I need you to stay asleep with me, because I can only help you if I'm here with you and you are asleep. Does that make sense?
I think it does.
I'd like you to follow me to that door, okay?
All right. And
Can we start moving?
you can begin to move out of what was the tower area towards the door.
Okay.
And as you reach the door, you see he holds out a hand to grab the doorknob and opens it up. And you see a wide hallway stretch before you.
Okay.
So you step into this hallway, and along it you can see there are framed pictures all the way down, but there's something about them where they sort of catch that astral light coming in from behind you as the door opens. It almost look like they are doorways that sort of reflect, holding mirrors or something like that within them. And so you can't see the actual pictures in them unless you are standing directly in front of them. At the end of this hallway is another nearly identical door. And as Enzo steps slightly further through into this hallway with stone floors and paneled walls, she kind of glances back and forth down either side. Yes, I think it doesn't make sense, but it does.
Why did you create this hallway, Enzo? Does this feel familiar to you?
It's the way to get back, I think, through there. But I can't get to that part of myself without these parts, I think. You step forward one more, and he tries to look directly into one of these paintings that is on the wall. You can see there are like 8 of them, 4 on each wall directly opposite each other, and he turns to face one, and then there's a sudden like rumble and shudder in the space around you as he looks, and his face contorts in confusion and some complex mixture of emotions. And I need for you and him to make dexterity saving throws, please.
All right, that's a 16 total.
You see the whole hallway suddenly like jerks and shudders, and then flips entirely around, as though the sort of central line that moves through the hallway is the axis on which everything spins briefly, before setting itself right, and suddenly you can stand on solid ground again. But you and Enzo both have been sent tumbling partway down the hallway and end up prone in the middle of the hallway, and all of the paintings have been thrown off of the wall and lie in various heaps on the ground.
Are they broken?
No, they don't seem to be broken.
Or still intact?
They seem to be still intact, but Enzo sort of looks around very quickly at all of them and says, no, this has to be set right. I can't put it together. I can't put anything together without if it doesn't go all the way through. And he starts to kind of like crawl over and sort through, or attempt to sort through the paintings that he can't make heads or tails of.
I would like to whichever painting I suppose is closest to me. You said that I kind of get knocked halfway
Yeah, you
down.
get knocked a little ways down.
There-ish. Whichever painting is closest to me of the 8, I would like to pick it up and just give it a once-over. What do I see at a surface level depicted in this
Yes,
image?
you see an image that it moves very slightly, as though sort of moving from a single moment into whatever the following moment might be before sort of like reversing and shifting again to move back to its sort of original space. It is from sort of a very low angle. It looks like an older, like much older, dark-skinned woman, white hair sort of pulled back, sitting back with some like knitting or crocheting or something crafty in her hands, sort of looking down at a very, very low angle.
Do I recognize this person as somebody I would have interviewed in my search for Enzo?
Give me a history check.
It's an 8.
8. No, it doesn't look identically like anyone you would have talked to. But give me an insight check as well.
Insight is 24.
With a 24 insight, you look at that for a moment and you try and think, was this somebody that I saw? No. But then you realize, oh, the reason that I didn't speak to or see this person or see anybody that looks identically like this person, that person's probably passed away.
Okay. Are all 8 paintings portraits like this?
I mean, immediately you notice that no, they are not all the same.
Okay.
The next painting that you find is, again, in a very similar way, that it like moves very slightly, almost as though, you know, just the frame of it just shifts a little bit before reverting back. It is a stack of like crumpled parchment that like scribbles and things are like scratched around on, just a chaotic mess of a disorganized desk.
Were these paintings all on one wall, or were they kind of like on
they were
opposite
opposite of
walls?
each other.
Okay.
Yeah, there were 4 on each wall.
Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna start rifling through the paintings because I think he's very confused. So I'm gonna try and be his brain for a second. I think I'm going to just kind of like up against this northern wall up here. I'm just going to start setting them up against the wall in an order that I think makes sense to me.
So I'll give you, I'm just going to give you all of them here. So you see the sort of the portrait of the old woman. You then see one of like a very small, like cramped, candlelit room. Just like the smallest, tiniest, dingiest little like apartment you can ever see. The next one you find is a wonderfully crafted, well-sanded, varnished, everything, a wooden cart. A very simple piece of construction, but well-sanded. It has that sheen of newness to it. The next one that you see is a wide open sky at night. It looks very similar to the like nebulas and stars that you see outside, but you can tell because of the angle of it, it is looking upward from like a laying down or like a craned neck position, because at the edges of it you can see little hints of like trees. The next one you see is a small child, like truly an infant, crawling toward like the hem of a woman's dress. You then see this is the only one that is notably of Enzo. This is Enzo and his face in like a looking glass, and it looks haggard, and you see heavy bags underneath the eyes. His eyes are unfocused. His hair is kind of a mess and matted around his face. His cheeks have sort of a distinctive flush to them. He just looks very, very not put together in this particular picture.
Generally disheveled.
Yes. Generally disheveled. And then the final one that you see is what looks to be a portrait as well of a very finely dressed nobleman or member of the gentry. Sort of finely crafted hat and anything like that, and he is looking pridefully down at a large scroll of parchment.
Okay. Does Enzo have any distinguishing facial features?
He has dark brown eyes. He does have a bit of freckling around just underneath his eyes and along his cheeks. He does maintain a little sort of like goatee beard as well.
Could I discern, based on the freckling and eye color, if the infant is Enzo?
Make another insight check.
That's a 19 for a 25.
Excellent. This is not Enzo. The baby is not Enzo.
Okay.
So you have all 8 portraits sort of set aside, and Enzo is looking over them, just sort of as flustered and confused as you are.
Dreams are strange. Also, this state of dreaming is strange because I, as the caster, can shape it as I go. I want to cast Identify.
Okay.
On just any of the portraits. We'll say just the first one that I picked up, the one of the old woman.
As you do so, you learn this is Enzo's grandmother. Always hard at work at some craft, something that she was making with her own hands. He remembers her as the sort of spark of his love and passion for creation.
Okay. Is the hem of the dress in the infant portrait either identical or similar in style to the dress that his grandmother is wearing in her portrait?
You got like a 24 on that one as well, right? Or 25. I think it's fair to say it does not look identical or anything.
Okay.
Also, I feel like it's notable. I should have mentioned this when you first made that insight check. There was a child of about 3 or 4 that when you were talking to Enzo's family, friends, etc., that is his
nephew. I want to approach Enzo before I try and do anything with the paintings. Just very, very slowly and gently, because he still seems to be rather confused about what's going on. Like aware that he's confused, but just not understanding. I'm going to put one of my hands kind of on his shoulder, and I will say, it seems like a lot of this feels disorganized. I'd like to try and reach inside of your mind to help us find some answers, if that's okay.
Make a persuasion check for me.
That is all right. It's 11 for a 15.
15 is pretty all right. You've developed a rapport with him. He says, right, I can do that. What do I need to do?
Just stay calm and stay asleep. And I will cast Detect Thoughts on Enzo.
You are going into a second level within the level. We're really getting into the Inception quality of this now. You get into his mind. His surface thoughts immediately are some confusion. Everything is jumbled up. He has like no real recollection of anything prior to being in the tower. Everything beyond that you can tell is just hazy. It's all a mess. It's all mixed together. Nothing is solid or clear or anything like that.
As my magic action, 6 seconds later, I am going to attempt to probe deeper into his mind.
Yeah, based on that persuasion, he will opt to fail as you delve further in. What are you looking for?
So I want to focus in on the kind of his emotional journey. Half of these portraits, or half of these paintings, are of people.
Mm-hmm.
3 of which I know for sure he knows intimately or on a familial level. It makes me wonder what the Society of Masks had on him to coerce him into making this. If he truly is innocent, what kind of implications him not doing this for them would have on his family. So I'd like to kind of dig into maybe his mental state just before the dream started, like just before he fell asleep.
Okay. Make an investigation check for me.
I am going to use my portent.
Okay.
My 10.
Okay.
For investigation, so that gives me a 15 investigation.
Okay. I think a 15 is enough to know. Again, like I said, everything before the tower for him is hazy. You try and reach back into any memory, any solid memory that you can grab onto beyond that, and there's just nothing. It is water and sand through your fingers. However, there's something that looms large in his mind when he considers and when you prompt him to think about his craft, his journey as a craftsperson. He considers, and you see this is a journey of opposing forces. He has had to find the way between many things. Things that he has wanted versus things that he knows he needed to do. This concept of opposing ideas just sticks into your mind as you try and reach back there.
I'll say just a little bit longer, Enzo. Just one more thing. As I'm understanding this, the detect thoughts is kind of just like picking up his dream brain, and not necessarily his physical body's brain outside of it. I just want to gauge Enzo's subconscious's gut reaction. I would love, if you'll let me, to just push the image of the nobleman to his mind as kind of like a reshaping of the dream. Changing what he is experiencing in the dream as I'm doing this to kind of take his mind off of me probing him and just change the dream so that he thinks for a moment, for this 6-second magic action, that it's actually the strawberry blonde half-elf that is probing him for thoughts instead of me. Okay. And then clock whatever his reaction is to that.
Ooh, okay. Make an insight check.
That's going to be a natural 20.
Ooh.
The first nat 20 of the game. Yeah.
Nice.
For insight, that is going to go to a 26.
That's so good.
Natural 20 for a 26.
Okay. As you get that, he suddenly sort of moves to a very deferential and kind bearing in his person. And he sort of nods and bows just a little bit. You take it immediately as the sign of a person who is beholden to somebody else, who is acting in a role of a service, of providing a service. So it is that very added humility that he puts on briefly. And in his mind, the thoughts that come up are, always did think he was a fine man. Upstanding, worthy of respect. Not like me.
Interesting. That's not at all how I thought that would go. Okay.
Yeah, you see he takes on that humility, and his thoughts are primarily around his own lack in that space. He sort of fixates on his position as lower than this individual.
Gotcha.
Not in a way where, it's like there's any cruelty in it, in the relationship, but just in a way
it doesn't feel oppressive.
Right. It doesn't feel oppressive. It just feels self-deprecating a bit.
All right. So I'm gonna give him kind of like a gentle pat on the shoulder, and I'm gonna bring him out of the detect thoughts, and I will take back my first level spell slot that I used for identify.
Great.
So we're gonna try and order this timeline for him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put the grandmother in spot 1.
Okay.
I want to put the cart in spot 2.
Okay.
I'm wondering if maybe because it's very simple but well made, maybe that's one of the first things he successfully made. Where does the sky fit in? That's the thing. Where does the sky with the hint of trees on the horizon fit into this? I think the nobleman at 3, maybe he was a first, maybe he was an apprentice under this gentleman. The cramped candlelit room at 4, followed by the infant at 5, the sky at 6, the crumpled papers at 7, and Enzo's haggard face in the looking glass at 8.
You use your power over the dream to place these paintings in these places along the wall, and expect to hear something, expect to see Enzo's face light up or change. He looks around. Something's not right. Not quite.
I think that's a good enough baseline to start moving things around.
As you think about this, I'll give you this with your very, very high insight prior.
Okay.
You're thinking about it further, and the idea of chronology seems less present in his mind than the idea of these opposing forces.
Huh. Okay. All right. Let's then change the sky to 5, move the sky to the other side, and replace that with the infant.
As you go at first to move the picture of his nephew, you see Enzo sort of stops, says, "No, wait. That feels right to me. That feels right." The position of both of those across from each other seemed correct. It was sort of as you moved in that direction of the hallway. It's like, no, we can move past that, I think.
I think I've been thinking about this too linearly for a dreamscape. So I've also been thinking about it as opposing sides and not as a a progressive hallway. But when you said that 1 and 5 are correct, what if I put... Okay, let's see if I could put the crumpled papers at 6 across from the cart. Unfinished ideas versus a complete and sturdy product.
See, as Enzo looks back and forth across from those, he gives sort of a nod.
We're going to move the small candlelit room to 8 across from the wide open night sky. Cramped space versus boundless opportunity. Enzo's self-deprecating self-portrait opposite the ideal nobleman at number 3.
And as you place them in this orientation, he looks back at the wisdom of years opposed by the mischief of youth, the joy of finished creation set against the struggle of trial. Ideal presentation of a person to all people as worthy of respect and dignity versus someone at their lowest point. Opportunity, eternity, infinity, opposed by cramped, tight, small beginnings. He gives a nod, says, "That's how it's always been. Straight through." And he walks through the direct center of this hallway, and the doors open into a wide library, a space lined with bookshelves on either side, and each bookshelf filled with scrolls upon scrolls, all laying atop one another, and a sort of drafting desk there at the very back. And he looks around. Everything I've ever created, I think.
Ooh. Okay. Do I know what he created for the Society of Masks?
You don't. That's what you're looking for.
Oh, okay.
You see, he will go and he will pull a scroll from one of these scroll racks and move to open it up, and you see over his shoulder, it is blank. He sort of looks a bit confused. He starts to move down this line of scrolls and pulls them out and opens up another one. It's blank. He tosses it to the side. It's all leaving me, I think. Enzo moves around to the drafting table and looks at it. And you watch him sort of step behind it and look at this, whatever, like, blueprint or something is placed behind there. And he sort of looks across it and looks up at you. I'll have to try and remember. And he pulls the pen out of its little holder there, hunches over, and begins to try and work. And it is in that moment, make a perception check for me.
This is an 18 for 20. Dirty 20.
Great. You see, shifting into view, just behind his shoulder as he begins to work, is a figure that was entirely translucent, fully camouflaged against the wooden paneled wall behind him, this like arched area that stands out from the rest of the wall, probably about 6 feet off of the ground, just over his shoulder, like glancing over, a masked figure just in like a carnival type mask, black robes, leans forward just a little bit, in a way that is deeply menacing to you. What do you do as you notice this happening?
Not mechanically as a reaction, but just like in the moment, reacting to this happening, I am going to cast Summon Shadow Spawn.
Ooh. Oh, dang. Okay. Great.
Not in an attempt to attack this thing. I'm just seeing a thing come out of nowhere. So I want to make my own thing come out of nowhere.
Great.
And just make it appear right here, next to it. Because I'm going to choose the Despair emotion. Okay. And any creature that starts its turn within 5 feet of my Shadow Spawn has its speed reduced by 20 feet.
Ooh, incredible. Great. Perfect.
So I want to just lock this creature down and not let it move very much. And I'm just going to command my Shadow Spawn to, like, not attack unless it is attacked first, and just follow it around. Wherever it goes, I just want it to reduce the speed.
Well, I tell you what, as you are casting a spell that summons these tendrils of shadow out of the corner of the library towards this creature, it turns, seeing you casting magic, takes this as an aggressive action, and I need you to roll initiative, please.
Well, at least I have a shadow spawn with me. Oh, that's not very good either. It's a 7 for 9.
Great.
A 9 initiative.
The Dreamwalker then will go, and I think seeing that you are really the bigger threat here, though. So it's going to Misty Step. Appears right behind you, and you just sense in your mind more than you hear anything. He cannot be permitted to leave. And gonna take 2 attacks against you. That's certainly gonna hit with a 22.
Yeah.
And that one's only an 11.
Okay, so that'll miss. That'll miss.
Okay, great. So you are gonna take. Ooh, rolled really low on damage. You're gonna take 7 slashing damage and 2 psychic damage as this creature pulls sort of from the shadows of the dream around it, just pulls into existence a blade that slices across you as Enzo turns to you, sees the shadow, sees the member of the Society of Masks, and looks down at the draft paper again and says, "Give me time. I can't remember very well." And begins to write, and he will make a check to see if he can recall his creation. Ooh, and with 2 3s, that's not gonna do it. He begins to write on a paper and almost immediately takes it, crumples it up, and throws it across the room to begin on a fresh paper. It's your turn.
Okay, so I am going to turn to face this Dreamwalker, and I'm going to cast Mind Sliver.
Excellent.
Yeah, intelligence saving throw, DC 17.
That's a 6.
Great. 7 psychic damage.
7 psychic damage. Excellent.
And it is going to subtract, that's annoying, 1 from the next saving throw that she makes.
Okay, cool. All right, sounds good. Hey, that works.
It's not
any
nothing.
movement or bonus action for you?
I have no bonus actions, but I am going to, I'm gonna try and get away from her.
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, at the start of your turn, would you make a wisdom saving throw for me?
Yes. That's an 11.
Okay. I will allow the mind sliver still, but you become, let's say, frightened of the Dreamwalker.
That's fair.
For 1 minute. But you rush away and will take an attack of opportunity. Ooh, that's not going to hit. That's only that's another 12. This time.
That'll meet my armor class.
Ooh,
so that will
12
hit.
does hit. Okay, cool. Okay, that's going to be 5 psychic damage and 6 slashing damage.
I'm going down real quick here. I'm almost at
Uh-oh.
half.
Oh gosh, that's right. You're a very, very squishy little wizard boy.
Yeah, I'm a wizard.
Hey.
Okay. And then my shadow spawn is going to move and attempt.
Okay, great.
So I am just outside of 30-foot range from Enzo.
Okay.
And I'm going to use the Dreadful Scream action.
Nice.
And I need a wisdom save.
Okay.
DC 17 from the shadow or from the Dreamwalker.
Wisdom save. Ooh, that's just below. That is a 16.
All right, the Dreamwalker is frightened of the shadow spawn. So we're going to volley some
Dreamwalker
fear back and forth.
Is unfortunately immune to being frightened.
Well, in that case,
Is a creature of nightmare, so it is not allowed to be frightened.
Oh man. Well, dang.
Sorry about it, friend. So that was your Shadow Spawn's turn. Excellent.
Yep. So I'm done.
All right, that brings us back to the Dreamwalker's turn. The Dreamwalker is going to flashing through the bookshelves and scroll cases that are here, flashing around the backside of this one, and then reappearing just within sightline of you. It is going to reach out a hand, and a spray of sand and color drifts towards you, and I need, I believe, a wisdom saving throw from you.
It's not great. It's 9 for 15.
15 beats the DC. You are not incapacitated. You are not under the effects of any kind of sleep spell. Very, very nice.
That's good. Been... Yeah, just another layer of the Inception. I'm asleep inside of the dream that I have incited. Yeah.
Hey, you are not getting out of that one. That is levels on levels. And then seeing that fail, is going to, I think actually just stay where it is right now. You see Enzo sort of turns over to look at you, and he says, "It's all going away. I can't make sense of it. Everything here is blank. What went missing?" And he will attempt once more with disadvantage again to recall the plans that he made for the Society of Masks. 2 on that one. That is not going to do it. You can see he is getting frustrated and struggling to get his mind straight while also trying to ignore the imminent threat here. It is your turn.
I'm gonna try shooting straight up to the top here. We're gonna go for a big ol' attack. I'm gonna step right up and kind of backed into a corner here. I'm going to cast Witch Bolt, which is much better as a 2024 spell. The changes to Witch Bolt are wonderful. Whether you hit or not, you still are tied by the electric current.
Okay, nice.
And the additional damage each subsequent turn is a bonus action. So that will expand my action economy a little bit. So I'm going to cast Witch Bolt at 4th level.
Okay, great. So you do still have disadvantage on this because you are still frightened of the Dreamwalker. But go ahead and roll.
Okay, the first one is an 11. So that puts me at what? 20. That puts
a 20. Yep.
The second one is a 16.
Ooh.
So 20. A dirty 20.
That will hit. Roll me some damage.
5d12 for initial damage. So you see a crackling beam of green and bright yellow electricity shoot out from my hands in desperation to try and get this thing out of the dream to help Enzo in his search. And I'm going to throw some d12s here. 25 lightning damage.
25 lightning damage. Very nice. Incredibly useful. Yeah, that's a big heavy hit on this masked individual that gets flung back. You see them sort of just like shake a little bit at the force of the shock that you deal, stumble backwards a little bit, and sort of heave with the effort of maintaining a standing position as this tendril of electricity continues to tether the two of you together. Very nice. Very nice. What are you doing? Bonus action? Any movement?
I have no bonus action. I can't move towards it, so I'm going to stay right where I am.
Great.
However, my Shadow Spawn is going to move. I am going to go in for a Chilling Rend attack, which is... that's a 15.
15 just misses, unfortunately.
I would like to make some type of check. Maybe as my spell kind of illuminates the area, I'd just like to take a quick peek at the two bookcases I'm in between.
Yeah, sure.
Because I can't move forward, so I'm going to try and just figure out what type of text or what objects in general are here.
Sure. Give me an investigation check.
That's a 2 for a 7, so...
7, you glance around. It's all these scrolls, many of them unmarked. Some of them that do seem to have like a little tag on the end of it that might have some sort of notation on it, is blank. You quickly scan across the area where you can while keeping your peripheral vision out for the Dreamwalker to see if there's any future pressing threat. You don't notice anything in particular about these, except that they all still seem to be blank. This looks, at least in this area, to be a library full of just blank parchment. At the end of your turn, would you make a wisdom saving throw?
16. That's a 10 on the die.
16 beats it. You are no longer frightened. You shake off the frightened effect at the end of your turn. Dreamwalker is going to go for the most clear and present threat to it at this moment, and that is your Shadow Spawn. We're going to take 2 full attacks against it, and that is going to be a grand total of 17 and 22 to hit.
Yeah, that's both of those hit.
Great. All right. First one, 6 psychic damage and 8 slashing.
Okay.
Second one, another 8 slashing and 5 psychic damage.
That's a deep hit. It has 50 hit points. Cut him down to less than half, that's for sure.
And then we are going to do a Misty Step as a bonus action. And it is going to pop up to the balcony area of this library. Yeah, can get up here. Just above you, disappears into dream magic and reappears on the balcony just above you. There's about a 10-foot wide balcony on either side of the library, with a couple more bookshelves lining each side of that. So she pops up there.
Break the concentration on Witch Bolt as well. It breaks if the target leaves behind total cover. So
Gotcha.
I would
Okay,
assume
cool.
that is a floor between us now.
Yes, there is a floor between you that
Okay.
that is providing total cover from your current position. Yes. On our good friend Enzo's turn, he's going to move. Actually, he's going to, frustrated with just trying to remember, he's going to move down over to the other side of this one from you, sort of ducking behind and trying to hide himself in cover. As he does, he starts to reach up into the scroll case and pull out some of the scrolls and some of the parchments to try and see if he can determine anything. He just shouts to you, "I need to find anything that remains. Anything at all, just as a starting point." And he's going to make a search. I mean, he's not crushing it today on rolls, Mr. Enzo Sabia. That's a natural 4 on the die to search for anything that remains written in any of these parchments. No dice. That is going to be your turn.
I almost want to do it again, so I can give myself that bonus action. Is it worth it? Can I hit for this? Can I deal as heavy a hit on a second 4th level Witch Bolt? Yeah. I'm going to run over here and just kind of like hop up onto the desk.
Okay, great.
So I have a clear line of sight. Would you say I have line of sight here, or is
Yes,
that bookshelf?
I think you do, yeah.
Still in the...
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Not at disadvantage, because I'm no
No,
longer
yeah,
frightened.
this is just a regular one.
That is going to be a 10, and that is for... Oh, plus no, for a 19.
19 will hit, yes.
32.
32?
Right?
30.
No, 31. Sorry, 31.
31. You send another burst of arcane electricity from your fingertips, leaping onto the desk, scattering some of the blank parchment that is set along this drafting table. You leap up, shoot the lightning out of your fingers. It shocks into this Society of Masks Dreamwalker, and she just fully discorporates, explodes into the stuff of dreams, just stars and sparks and smoke. Completely gone, no longer infiltrating the dream space here. And you wait for a moment to see, did she just teleport away somewhere else? But there's a pause and enough time for you to hear Enzo from over in the corner just continually pulling things off of this shelf, just digging through. You hear him sort of grunting in frustration, saying, there's nothing here. It's all gone. I don't have enough time.
I am going to hop off the desk and just kind of run over to him. Mm-hmm. And I'll say, it's okay. It's okay. We can slow down. We have plenty of time. Just stay asleep. Let's look around everywhere. We haven't searched everywhere yet.
Make a persuasion check for me. And then also make an insight check for me.
Persuasion is an 18 on the die, which lands us at 22.
Okay.
And insight is a 4 on the die, which lands us at 10.
Okay, great. He sort of gives a curt nod and says, right, all right. Keep looking for anything that hasn't gone already.
I'm going to try another detect thoughts on him.
Right off the bat, your detect thoughts, his primary thought that is top of mind right now is that there is not enough time, that it is all fading. And with this detect thoughts, you are getting what you missed on that insight check. You understand that the thing that is most present in his mind right now is that he knows that this library is all of his memories, everything he's created, everything he is. And as he started to see that these parchments and papers have been wiped clean, his fear and his understanding about this place is that if this is all empty, then he doesn't have any mind to come back to. He is understanding that at this point, he is near the end of his life or his consciousness.
Yeah.
And he is trying to cling to any hint of what might still remain as a clue to try and help you in this last moment.
Well, it's going to take too long to go through one by one and check all of these scrolls, because that's going to take forever. I'm going to go over the desk and just see what he was flipping through. Is that all blank too?
It's mostly blank. Give me an investigation check, though.
17.
As you look over this desk, you see it is primarily blank. However, you see some of the things that he was working on and see a desk very similar looking to the painting just outside in the hallway, sort of crumpled, chaotic desk that is the starting point and the opposite point from something completed, something fully realized. And you see sort of scribbled along the edge of one piece that is crumpled up, just sort of marginalia that reads in Enzo's hand, what is the starting point?
Do any of the bookshelves in here look different than the others? Are they all pretty identical?
They are all fairly identical, more or less, yeah.
I'm going to cast Divination.
Okay.
My question, my divining question here is, what does the Society of Masks plan to use Enzo's tech for?
Ooh, interesting. Interesting.
If I figure out what they're going to use it for, maybe I'll have an idea of what it is.
The response you receive is strange and not exactly in the form of words. But you briefly see a flash of an image of the device or the construct, whatever it might be that he was creating for them. You see a flash of it, and it appears like this multi-part engine with tubes, both copper and glass, sort of snaking from one piece to another, whirring with arcane energy, and understand in just looking at it that this is an engine to allow the power that like you and other arcane casters pull on to manipulate the threads of magic. It can siphon and hold a tremendous amount of that energy, allowing an individual to use a greater store of potential in there. Mechanically, this would allow for the pooling of spell slots, basically, to be used by like an individual or an organization. The pooling of spell slots from multiple places to basically create an unchecked source of power.
Okay. Arcane generator. Okay.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to repeat exactly the specifics that I can gather from that image back to Enzo and see if that sparks anything in his head.
I'm just going to call this a straight intelligence check. It is your ability to understand and then further to explain and verbalize what you see in a way that hopefully will jog his memory.
With expertise in Arcana, could I have advantage?
Absolutely. That sounds good. That is a valid thing.
It's going to be a 23.
Ooh, very nice. On his side, to understand, to perceive, insight, etc. for him, he looks at you, his eyes widen as you explain this, and he thinks for a moment. Right. That was it. And he points over to one of the bookshelves and rushes over to it, moving through really quickly, pulls out a scroll and pulls apart a half-finished scroll. And as you look at it, you can see in parts it resembles like a cross-section or a different angle of this thing that you saw this flash of for a moment. But the lines that he has drawn, the straight edges, all of this stuff that he has done to indicate measurements and all of this other technical workings of this thing are starting to fade, being written in reverse. The line is fading as though a hand was drawing back and away the ink that had placed it there. And he quickly looks at it, sees it fading away, and steps quickly over to the drafting table, pulls out the pen to kind of try and move to fix this whole thing, and without sort of looking up to you as he does so, he speaks. Can't go fast enough. I need to get closer in. Can you can control this place, right?
Yeah.
It's all in here. It's all very, very clear to me now. You need to send me inside.
Yeah. So under the dream spell, I want to focus on changing the environment we're in and creating a new landscape. So I'm going to start waving my hands around, kind of like just clearing the area. So the bookshelves in the middle here are going to be pushed back. onto these walls in between the other bookshelves, just clearing space. The desk, I'm going to push it back to the back wall back here and kind of like push this wall in so the indent isn't there anymore, so we have a big flat working space. And I'll kind of move the two of us out of there as well.
Great.
Him still holding the scroll. And I want to transform the floor here into the scroll. In a sense, give him what he wants, but make sure that I'm there as well, so I can kind of observe what he's doing.
You see, as you expand this space to become the scroll, to become that shifting plan or blueprint, he sets back down, and you see the plans begin to take physical shape here around him as you do this, and he begins to work just with his hands now, freed of a pen. They just spread ink as he moves a hand, almost as if casting magic. And eventually, you watch him swirl his hands around, splashes of ink and graphite and all of these different writing implements and measurement tools move around him, and he finally completes what is the plan, and it lays flat on to the floor of the page here, and he looks at you and says, got to take it quickly now. I think this was the last thing I did, and I think that's perhaps why it was the last thing to go. If you take this now, that'll be it.
In theory, as kind of intellectual equals and somebody who has just watched him redo this schematic, basically from scratch, would you assume that I could make this appear in the dream?
This object?
Yeah.
You could make it appear in the dream, not in the waking world.
Right, yeah, for sure. I just concerned with the state of his mental being, so creating it here in the dream space.
Yeah.
In front of him, I would like to create this machine to operate in the dream world. And just for good measure, I would love to just sink every spell slot I have into this. I am going to drain the rest of my spell slots, and that is going to be 1 third level, 3 second level, and 4 first level spell slot.
13 levels worth of spells you sink into this device.
And I am going to attach it to him.
Okay.
I will take the scroll from him, and I will say, use this to hold on for as long as you can. I will try and be back soon.
He stands there with this device, churning with the energy of the spell slots that you infused into it. Gives you a little slightly skeptical sort of look on his face. I'm not really like you, right? An adventurer or a learned man of magic or anything like that, right?
I know.
Fairly simple fellow myself.
All it takes is one look at your body of work, and anyone with a brain could see that you're not just a simple fellow. You don't have the schematic anymore, but you have this. Focus on this. This is your work. And until this arcane energy runs out, you will be able to see and remember the things that you have created. And I will wake up from the dream.
You wake up from the dream. In your mind, as clear as day, are the exact schematics for the object, for this arcane generator. You can immediately go to Enzo's drafting table and write the exact plans. As you consider this, you watch the sleeping body of Enzo. Make an insight check for me.
That is going to be a 21. 15 on the die.
In the last moment before you left the dream, I think you do understand something. You were in detect thoughts with him for so long that you got a good sense of him and how his brain works and all of that. I think you saw in his face an agreement with what you were asking for him to focus on that as an anchor to the world. But I think more than that, you understood, I think, that the memories were leaving him, that the life and the things indicated by the hallway proceeding had given him some measure of understanding of himself and who he was. And I think you understand that just like you sacrificed the rest of your magical energy to try and keep him here, he was willing to sacrifice the rest of his potential creativity to return something that he had taken part in setting wrong. Your compliment and your final word there at the end made you feel like he saw the way that you saw his work and his craft, and you watch him sleep, and just like you said, focus on staying asleep. But you have work to do.
Yeah.
And you begin to...
Now the real journey begins.
Indeed. You begin to draft or transcribe his creation onto a new, fresh sheet of parchment. And that is the Dreaming Draftsman dungeon, I guess.
Love it.
There you go.
Love it. Yeah, this is cool. I liked it. It was a cool take on the 5-room dungeon because it's not physically 5 rooms, right? It's more of a non-linear idea there. Right. I think that I don't know how you do that with a party. Like it almost has to be a single person thing, because the conceit is dream. But I like the idea of the puzzle room being matching. I think if I were to change anything in that room, it would be to provide multiple routes to success.
Right.
Because I liked the idea, and I really enjoyed like the process of getting to the answer.
Right.
But for I suppose maybe not all the time. Depends on your table and your party how set they are on finding a definitive answer.
Right.
But maybe like for a newer DM or a newer table, if they're taking longer, then you can have something up your sleeve to be like, oh yeah, it actually was just chronological the entire time, or maybe not that. But,
yeah, I mean,
having 2 or 3 sets of workable answers.
Well, and I think the thing. So when I was thinking about this as a 5-room dungeon, right, like it is definitely more like 5 moments than it is 5 rooms.
Yeah.
The initial tower room that you stepped into. I was pretty much coming up with 5 rooms, and each room had in it a challenge. Now, I didn't have like a set idea for that challenge's solution in every case. In the case of the tower, the challenge is just talk to this guy, convince him that you need his assistance and that he needs you, and that you need each other to try and move through this space to some sort of conclusion. If you can convince him to do that, then it's like, okay, how do we get down from this space? How do we move out of this space and into the next space? You landed, I think, a very effective solution to that by just changing the dream to allow for it to move on to the next thing. But there are all kinds of things that you could do and could allow players to do for that. Then you're in the puzzle room, which, like you say, I think had maybe some things I didn't anticipate being stumbling blocks, but that's sort of always how I am with puzzles. I
think that's how puzzles are, just in general.
Yeah, I never anticipate the stumbling blocks that my party is going to hit, and that's just how it is. So I was trying not to give you too much, but really the thing I wanted to say here writ large, and then I'm going to write into the actual write-up of this, is that the order of the actual positions is not what matters. Matching them to the opposites is what matters. So it doesn't really matter that like the old woman is 1. As long as the old woman is across from the child, you're good.
Right.
So, and I maybe considered keeping one set there as a sort of like starting point, a sort of way to understand what's maybe the idea there. I decided to just kind of like let it stand. And then the library is obviously a combination of sort of further like a problem to be solved. It's not exactly a puzzle. The goal is to find something that will set him on the right track. And I didn't have a set idea for what that was going to be. If you wanted to investigate all through the place and find clues, I would have allowed you to do that. But if you moved in a different direction and wanted to come up with a different way to spur his memory, great. Allow that to happen. And then there's also a potential combat in that room. If you had a larger party in here, if you like messed with the dream ritual, so it's not actually the dream spell, but it's like some external force sending your party into his dream, you could do, my thought is like 1d4 of these dream walkers for a party of like 3 or 4, 1d6 for a party of 6 or like 5 or 6. Anything more than that, maybe 1d6 plus 1.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And maybe you combine that with the task of helping to jog his memory. Obviously, that works better when you have a larger party to split focus and to have multiple tasks or multiple problems to be solved over the course of a combat. So I didn't really hammer that home for you for a one-on-one. But if it was a larger party, I would absolutely make that a like ticking clock encounter.
Yeah.
Where, like, part of the goal is help him figure out what he's doing, and part of the goal is don't die.
Right. Yeah. We love a multifaceted combat.
And so those things kind of form rooms 3 and 4 a little bit. And then room, quote unquote, room 5 is sort of that introspective ending piece of like, what is everyone willing to give up to accomplish this in one way or another? And again, I didn't have a set idea for that, but I think you landed something really incredible by being like, I'm going to make this object exist, and I'm going to give up the rest of my spell slots. And I'm like, great, that's all I needed was sacrifice. All I needed was sacrifice, and you got it. As far as the inspiration points for this creation, I thought a lot about, obviously, the way that like the dream spell can work in that very Inception-y way, but I didn't want to do a straight up Inception, like put an idea in this person's brain.
Right.
So I was like, let's take some inspiration from Inception. Let's take something cool about that idea, which is exploring a dream space. And then I came up with some other ideas too that, like, you know, aligned with like dream psychology. So at first I was thinking about a lot of ideas to create in this dungeon that would have been like very typical dreams, you know, the kinds of dreams that everyone sort of understands, either they have well-known symbolism or they're just common experiences within dreams. I kind of moved away a little bit from that and into a more broad idea of that, which is the concept of the collective unconscious within dreaming, a Jungian kind of idea. And within that idea are these ideas of like the collective unconscious functions very heavily on this idea of archetypes. We all sort of understand many of these things that are archetypes. And so that's where the puzzle came in. Those are all examples of a sort of facet or a sort of interpretation of some of the Jungian archetypes and the sort of counterpoints that they represent. So you have sort of old, wise ancestor figure, mischief, childishness, youth, that sort of thing, set apart from each other. A small cramped space, this idea of limitation versus this idea of infinity, etc. Highborn, lowborn, chaos versus order, that sort of thing. So that's really where the puzzle aspect of that came from. And then the rest was really just like, once I was like, who is this person that the NPC that this whole thing revolves around? It was just about figuring out, when we get more into the specific of like, what would be the important like dreaming aspect for this individual. And then the library just showed up for me in my brain. But one of these things about writing a module that's so interesting to me is that like I think that's why I don't write the modules down very often, is because it never goes exactly the direction that you think. You did a bunch of stuff that I was absolutely not planning to be part of it, or I was planning a very different experience of it. But when it came to actually playing it out, I didn't want to railroad you into that experience because you seemed very excited about exploring a different avenue. And I thought that was great. And I just wanted to let you do that. And so I pivoted heavily from what I had initially planned in the actual playing out of this.
Well, that's great.
That's just one of those things that I think, especially with writing dungeons, writing modules, I always want to build in a significant amount of wiggle room. I don't know. Usually your players are going to like head down an avenue that is so much more interesting and exciting than whatever you had written down.
Right. Yeah. So it's a good study on what to prepare when making a dungeon, even more so than the ideas that go into the dungeon.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think that's what I found most useful, was to have some things prepared, but in so many ways, like not planning the solutions to any of the challenges super aggressively.
Yeah.
Knowing that like something you were going to say was going to bring me into a different way of thinking about it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Anyway, Michael, I'm very excited to explore your dungeon next week. Thank you all of our listeners for being here. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you enjoy whatever Michael comes with next week. I am very excited.
Me too.
Michael, this has already gone long enough.
Certainly.
I am happy to let you go, but thank you so much for potting with me. Everyone, we will talk to you next week. Until then, take care of yourselves. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you so very much for listening to that episode of the College of Creation podcast. If you want to see all of the creations that we've ever made on the show in PDF form, you can head on over to the Patreon. That's patreon.com/College of Creation pod. You can join at the free tier and get access to all of that for no cost to you. But if you do want to join at the $5 tier, you get a little bit of bonus content, and we really, really appreciate you. If you've got some ideas for things that we can make on the show, shoot us an email. That's collegeofcreationpod@gmail.com. And as always, our music is brought to you by Fuserwolf. You can check out all of his music on Spotify and Bandcamp, and he's got a new band. They go by the name Bad Knees. You can find them on Spotify and Bandcamp as well, and you should really check them out. It's great, great, great stuff. Thanks again so much for listening, and we will catch you next time. Goodbye.